You've tamed the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test. Laid all your doubts to rest.
Hi everyone from your Intuition Queen, and welcome to the Christmas episode of Intuitive Queens podcast. Happy Christmas, everybody. I hope you're having a great time and you're enjoying being with whoever you're being today. So I have the great pleasure to have with me Christine, who is the owner of 20 Carat Healing. She's a medium. She's an intuitive energy healer, and she's an empath. And she's going to talk to us about a lot of amazing things. Hi, Christine. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here and for being part of this Christmas episode. I thought this was particularly great for what you do and for the day that we all have with our families, and you might just give us some tips and what this day means for us. So I know you have a really important story to share. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into mediumship and intuition and what you do now.
Okay. Long story short, I was the oldest in the family, so I always had that caregiving role. I believe we share a similar story. My father was not in my life, so I had that abandonment piece in my life.
Oh, no, that's not me.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, don't worry. Probably you remember me talking about my dad passing away 4 years ago. No, but it was
Yes,
very much
okay. I
present.
think maybe it was a family, like
Yeah.
just not being close to family, but it's still an abandonment. It's still a piece of abandonment.
In a way.
In a way, of course, it's all similar. It's all integrated, right? So I had that piece for most of my life. I was bullied because I was either too tall or too this or too sensitive. I didn't own my power at all. I didn't realize how beautiful and like more inside than outside. It wasn't beauty's only skin deep, right? So I didn't realize that, and I didn't know that I was talking, and spirit was talking to me, and I was talking to spirit. It came through with anxiety, depression. I had 2 attempts at suicide as well. Wow. I've been homeless. Unfortunately, I've been assaulted as well. I had a lot of issues with alcohol, with men. I had to flee my home with my child through domestic violence as well. So I've had an interesting, tumultuous 46 years. But I'd have to say the last 3 years have been a total 360. I found a video online at the time. She's an internationally known medium, Carmel Joy Baird. Basically said my anxiety and my depression are linked to me being highly intuitive and being a medium, psychic, healer, light worker. And we would love you to step into your power, step into it, own who you are, know that you have that inner light within and that you were born perfectly. And somewhere along the way, unfortunately, those tapes and programs, they stay with you. You were told you're bad, you're not worthy, I hate you, whatever it happens to be. Those words, that sticks with you, or traumatic events, they stay with you, and it's almost like being buried under your trauma.
Wow, that's a really powerful story. You mentioned, I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
The first one is, you mentioned that the medium told you that the reason why you had anxiety and depression was because you basically are a medium and you have to step out and be seen and do what you're supposed to do. How does that land with you? What was your feeling when she told you that? I guess you kind of knew it, but having had such a feeling for so long, How did you change that? What was going on with you? What was your first thought when she said that to you?
I was like, it was a aha light bulb moment. When she said those words, it was like somebody told me it's going to be okay.
Mm.
I'm here for you. You can relax now
Wow.
and just open up to who you truly are. Because I have always been searching. Like people had asked me, what do you do for a living? And I was in sales and I really didn't have an industry. I didn't have a specialty. I was just aware of many hats. I never actually fit in. I never found myself going, okay, this is what I meant to do. So when she suggested that to me, I was like, okay, you know what? I have tried everything, including, antidepressants, um, tapping. I mean, you name it, counseling, years of counseling. Why not try this and see what
Mm.
happens? It opened up a whole new world for me. It was like I was in a trance for most of my life, and finally the veil was lifted. I'm sure we've all heard that, where the veil is lifted,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually see. You have new eyes.
Wow. So were you afraid at all of what was going on for you, or how did you step into it?
Well, I won a scholarship, so um, I it was an online course. It was a series of videos. There was homework. There were assignments. Basically, to play with your inner child more, to play games. Basically,
Mm.
put colors into envelopes and then just sit there with it and use your intuition and go, okay, what color does this feel like? What do I think it is? And a lot of times, the more you strengthen, because I see it as a muscle, the more you strengthen
Yeah.
it, the better it is. Because we've been told to not trust our intuition, to
Mm.
go with what everybody else does, or the
Mm.
ego minds, or what your friends, family, media, that mass media is doing. And unfortunately, a lot of us get sucked into that. So, and also doing readings for friends, for family, for strangers. I actually did 50 complimentary readings before I started charging, because
Mm.
I wanted, and I think my ego wanted to be like, okay, is this for real? Can
Mm.
I do this? Yes, I can, because the more you practice using your intuition, the more you trust and let go. And slowly the ego goes away. It does
Mm.
go away, because it's like, okay, she
I'm not
figured it
needed
out.
here anymore.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That is so true. So true. Before we get into what you do and how you do it, and the whole topic about intuition and stuff, which you already just mentioned, I kind of want to go back a little bit to your most painful times. How? So you said you didn't grow up with a father. Was that the part that um, was more painful, or were there other situations that brought you to continuously kind of be in a situation where bad things were happening?
Yeah, it was definitely the father piece. It, the feeling of not being worthy, or maybe you
Mm.
did something wrong. Never feeling, it's like it takes a big chunk out of you. You feel like you did something
Mm.
um, to deserve that, right? So it does carry with you, and it carries with you in relationships, carries with you in your career. It it it's it's hard to describe. It's like, yeah, you just have a piece of you missing. You're not
Mm.
whole. You think it's like you need outside validation to
Mm.
be um, you know 100%, which again, that's the ego. I mean, it is a trauma, it is a wound. And yeah, it took me a long time to figure it out. But, now with my dad, that's who he is. We have a relationship. It's not, it is what it is. I might talk to him a couple times a year. you know what? There's a reason for everything.
Mm,
And yeah, I tend, I think that's why I'm such a strong individual. Really learned to tap into my resilience and to the collective, like just to trust and
mm,
surrender.
yeah.
So it taught me, and a lot of unconditional love and forgiveness as well. So
Yeah.
I wish him unconditional love. I've forgiven him. I forgave myself. I think that's the biggest piece.
Yeah, and I know that from a lot of people that I talk to, when you have had an issue when you were a child for whatever reason, there was a trauma, you start to become more independent and more resilient and stronger in a way, and and then you start to maybe go through your anger moment, a crazy moment, and then you start to accept the situation, you realize what you can do for yourself, you realize how can you help yourself, and then you let go and things change. Is that your process?
Definitely, things shift. The more you trust and surrender, the more you, and I mean, for me, it's like it's a practice, and I call it a self-love practice, and then it includes a lot of things. But everyone is different. But it definitely started with, meditation is
Mm,
huge because a lot of us. I ask my clients, how long do you ever sit for 5 minutes in complete silence and shut the brain off, like shut everything off, just let go. And a lot of times we don't.
mm,
We just keep going. We just keep going until we collapse. We have burnout. We fall into a depression. We have constant anxiety where we're in fight or flight.
mm,
And doing that really it drains your adrenals. You have gut health issues. There's a lot of autoimmune issues now because of that. I see it. I see it all the time. I practice yoga because for me, it's a practice of being mindful, meditation, the stretching part, the connecting to mind,
mm.
body, and spirit. I find that a beautiful practice. But some people, they like other things, walking,
Yeah.
qigong, running, hiking, biking, whatever it is, swimming. Find something where it's for you, it's something you're connecting back to self. And being in nature more. Like I actually, after work, I stopped at the park that I normally go to. It was cold, but I went outside and it was amazing. I seen all these animals, blue jays, chickadees, squirrels. I took pictures, I took video, and actually in one of my pictures, I went back and looked, there's an orb in the picture, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, whoa, spirit was with me. Like I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. So,
Yeah.
those little signs that we see, even animals, numbers, whatever it has
Mm,
to be,
mm,
colors, whatever it is, those are all signs, and we have to acknowledge them and go, okay, wow, and look at it through a child's eye. So that's why we always talk about inner child stuff.
mm.
Get back to that stuff. Get back to having fun and being curious and being inspired. Get back to the love. Find that unconditional love for yourself, and then it just kind of permeates out to others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I am with you, and I love working. I have a park really close to. I have a garden, so that allows me when I'm working to see the squirrels and neighbors' cats coming around, or whatever bird is flying around. And sometimes I really just stop and look at them because I'm like, nature is so beautiful, and if we only stop for a second and we become aware what's going on in our life and what we are surrounded by, everything changes. But I believe that we are so much in this era where we need to do, we're too busy, there is so much to do, we don't have the time. But really, if you think about it, it's just a matter of organizing yourself and prioritizing, understanding really what matters for you and what
Yes,
doesn't, and do more of what
exactly.
matters for you and do less of what doesn't. Do more what makes you happy and having fun, and do less of what doesn't make you happy and doesn't make you feel fulfilled and have fun. But yeah.
Yes. because the more you're in that fun, higher vibration, unconditional love, letting go, trusting, the more you're raising your vibrations, you're inviting that. It's cyclical. It is law of attraction, basically.
Yeah.
But if you focus on the stuff you don't like, and you don't have enough of this, or you don't have enough money, or whatever it is, you attract that. So I say, you can't always live in high vibration all the time. I mean, there's going to be times where you have like, okay, I'm feeling really sad or mad, or then you need to go within and find out where it's coming from, and be realistic. And this busyness, us ladies tend to, oh, I'm so busy, and you wear it like a badge of honor. And actually, you're not honoring no one, and especially yourself. Self-care is every day, not just on Sunday. It's every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And if you are putting other people ahead of yourself, you need to look and figure out why. And a lot of times it's you don't think you're worthy. That was my family piece. And I know I've gone back through future life progression and then past life regression. Those are karmic patterns that go through family.
Oh, yeah.
You need to figure out what's going on. And I know for myself that I'm a spiritual warrior in the means that I have cut that worthy. I am worthy. It stops here with my generation, and it will not be passed on to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And I resonate with you because that's exactly what's in for me too. Breaking through all those patterns that are from past generations where women were supposed to be something different. So I want to talk a little bit about, so you mentioned at the very beginning, you always talk to spirits.
Yeah.
But I guess because you were in that such of painful part of your life, so your vibration was low, you kind of shut it off. Was it because you were afraid, or what was going on?
Yeah, there was a lot of fear. I see fear as false evidence appearing real, but at the time, I learned that was my survival, to live in fight or flight and fear.
Right.
And I never, I was using outside things as well. I smoked for, 20 years. I actually quit 2 years, pretty much when I started opening up and developing my mediumship and intuition skills to spirit. I dropped all that. I used to drink, like binge drink until I blacked out, and not all the time, but I had addiction issues, obviously, and food as well, right? Food was it was emotional. So I had a lot of emotional issues to heal. So yeah, I definitely was afraid. I would walk into a room, and somebody was having a really bad day. I could feel it, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was me. I always thought there was something wrong with me, but it was actually other people putting their stuff on me. And then it just would turn into other things, mainly anxiety. So I lived in that. Oh gosh, it was so deep and so dark, and just thinking about it, I feel, I just want to give myself a hug, right?
I'll give you a virtual hug. Oh yeah. No, I can imagine, because when you're an empath, you do pick up people's energy in the room. So you really need to know what to do and how to protect yourself and how to distance yourself from whatever person. So what does it mean for you, for people that are not so familiar what it means to be a medium? Or I come from Italy, so I know that if I had to talk to my mom about this, she would be like, you're crazy, there are bad people, because there was this thing. So what does it mean being a medium? How do you communicate to spirit? What exactly happens?
Well, we all have clairs. I don't know if you're familiar with them, or the audience is familiar with them, but clairvoyance. Okay, so clairvoyance is clear seeing, which I see. I'll get images or numbers, or sometimes I see outlines of faces. So a lot of times they'll show me like what they're doing, like if they're walking along the beach, or like it's like I'm right there with them. Clairaudience, I hear, so they'll tell me, like I'll be like, okay, what's your name? And it'll start coming through. Like I'll get a B, and I'm like, okay, Barbara, Bruce, like who are we talking about? Feeling, clairsentience. It's a feeling. I definitely get feeling would be my biggest strength. Feeling. Usually I'll feel like sick, or I have a migraine, or I feel very depressed. I feel very excited. It just depends on who the spirit is and what type of personality they have. Because when our loved ones pass, they have the same personality that they were here on Earth.
Right.
They just don't have any diseases or anything like that. They're healthy and they're happy. And they always tell me it's beautiful in heaven. So
good to know.
Clairalience, yeah. Clairalience is smelling. So a lot of times I'll get, like, I have a very sensitive nose to begin with. I don't like artificial, like those Febreze type of things. So if somebody has one of those right away, I'm like, could you please take, I can't come in. I can't. So either cigarettes or cigars or perfume or cologne, sometimes cookies, like depending on what they like to do. Like if grandma likes to bake, I'm going to smell her baking.
Right. Okay.
Which is nice. Claircognizance is a clear knowing, and I get that one a lot. That would be my right up there with feeling, knowing and feeling. Like sometimes, many times, I just know there's, something going on, like a premonition or a pre-warning. That's the same ideas. And then clairgustance is clear tasting. I don't really get that one, and I'm happy
that's
to
good.
not. So that's how, and I also, with spirit, I keep a book of, like, when they show me a sign, when they tap on the nose, that means looks like. So that I developed a book of signs and symbols for spirit. So it makes it, I guess easier for both of us when we're playing, because I see it as a game of charades, basically. But the more you build your book, you write in it. Like if I see a flag, that usually means a country. They want to tell me what country they're from, or this country means something, like their history, their family history. They'll show me shamrocks, and I'm like, okay, are you Irish? Or do you like the Celtics, the basketball team? Or are you lucky? It has 3 meanings. But most times, just sitting with a client, you'll tell them, a shamrock right away, they're picking it up. But sometimes we have spiritual amnesia, meaning, let's say mom made you tomato soup every day for lunch when you got home from school. And I told you, she's telling me about tomato soup. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But weeks, months, I get emails or phone calls saying, oh my God, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Tomato soup. I had that. But sometimes when you're in a reading, you're just like, you want to hear everything, and you're so focused on the message,
the big picture.
Yeah. And I don't control who comes through. So if Uncle Larry is really, really quiet, he's probably going to be last to come through, because Grandma, she wants to talk first. That's usually how it works with spirit. Unless someone asks for a specific person, then that's the only person I will tap into. But again, sometimes I'll see a bunch of people waiting. It's like they're all waiting. Spirit is always around. They're always with you. Your loved ones are always with you.
Yeah.
And like just looking at you, placement.
Yes.
Your father's side would be on your right side, and your mother's side of the family would be on the left. So it just makes it easier for us to be like, okay, I'm getting Grandma on father's side coming through.
Oh, Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know my dad is on my right hand side. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
They can either, they'll touch you. Sometimes they leave coins, they leave feathers, they leave animals, they leave numbers. Sometimes you can feel like they're
mm,
there, or you get a smell.
mm-hmm.
And I always say to people, don't be scared. Just be like,
Yeah,
thank you. Just thank you. And I
yeah.
know you're here. What would you like to tell me? And you can actually sit down and start writing. Just,
Mm,
that's how you can. And how do you connect with spirit?
that's right.
It's as simple as lighting a candle. That
Mm,
could be your way of connecting to spirit. And then just sit quietly, start writing.
mm,
You know what? You don't have, everybody is psychic. Everybody can connect to spirit. Everybody has intuition. It's just a matter of a practice.
yes.
Yeah, that's
And
all.
also, it's also a matter of not being afraid.
Mm.
I always known about mediumship, and for all the things that I do, I come across so many people with so many different gifts. So I am very much interested. But since my dad passed away, I feel, I smell, I see, and I know what it is. So as you said, I'm like, okay, thank you. Normally, it comes, whoever is coming is when I'm having a hard time, and I'm like,
Mm.
you know, maybe a little bit stressed, or I don't know what to do. And it's kind of like, I'm like, okay, so you're there. Okay, everything is going to be all right. I know it. But, you know, when you are in that stressful moments, you start thinking that everything is going wrong. And that's when I actually feel, as you said, maybe some sort of presence, and I turn around, there's
Yeah.
nobody. So
It's
yeah,
just a
no,
feeling, though.
it's just a
Yeah.
feeling or a smell of something, and I'm like, I am in my bedroom, so unless I have incense on,
Mm.
there cannot be this
And
kind of smell. But yeah, um
um, go ahead.
one thing that I would like to ask you, so going back to when you had your reading with the medium, and how, what happened for you? So how did you start to go into it? What you say, you won the scholarship, but and what were your steps? What were you doing to get to a point where you now um, can do the readings, and you see clearly, you know exactly where you're at and what is your power?
Um, you know what? Intuition is everyone's birthright. I don't see it as a power. Although I used to. I see it as just part of who I am, and everybody has that. As soon as, you know, it's hard to describe, but it's a practice. So again, it started with meditation, a lot of grounding as well. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we are not grounded. Like, grounding could be as simple as taking a very big, deep breath in,
Mm-hmm.
holding it and breathing out, and then repeating that 4 or 5 times. Because a lot of times we do not breathe properly. We are shallow breathers, especially when we get stressed out or we're feeling anxious. So I have a grounding prayer or meditation. It takes a minute. I do it every day. And I do that before I go into any reading or healing that I do. I have a protection prayer,
Mm-hmm.
because basically I'm telling spirit, okay, we're getting ready. As soon as I light the candle and I start the grounding meditation, then I go into the protection prayer, or a white light prayer, where I'm putting everybody in a white bubble of light. And then I do the chakra cleansing and
Mm-hmm.
balancing, because myself, I have to be grounded, clear, and ego free, I guess would be the word. And then I have to invite spirit into the room, because if I don't ask, they're not going to show up.
Right.
Just like if I don't invite you to dinner, you're not going to come to dinner. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to assume you're just going to show up. So it's a calling in prayer of my guides, my angels, my loved ones, and then your guides, angels, and loved ones. So once I do that, I move on to a smudging prayer. You see, it's all these steps. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically shutting down the ego part of self
Mm-hmm.
and bringing forth the unconditional love, light, basically taking away all that stuff and just living in the light. So once I do the smudging prayer, I sit down. I mean, I'm already seated, but as soon as this is my writer, meaning this is my tool. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pen. Yes, it could be a big pen. It could be anything. Not everybody uses a channeling or auto write or intuitive writing, but that's how I connect
Mm-hmm.
to spirit first, even before you come into the room for a reading. I'm writing everything I'm feeling, I'm knowing, I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm smelling, writing it all down, getting it all out on paper. And then when you show up, we go through that first.
Right.
And then because we're talking and now we have this connection, whether it's in person or over the phone or video, it don't matter. And a lot of times I don't even have your name and I don't need your name. And then I go into my dream journal as well, because my dreams for the night before are not for me, they're for you. And a
Mm.
lot of times I'll be like, were you just doing this? Or is this what your home looks like? Or were you like this as a child? It's very random, but a lot of many times it's bang on. It's people are like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
I've never told anybody that. Just it's a beautiful exchange of giving people love,
Mm.
light, and those messages of healing.
Yeah.
And I also, we were taught a code as well, meaning that when you go into a reading, there are certain principles, guidelines, do's and don'ts for reading. So
Mm-hmm.
I never tell anyone that I know 100% of an outcome of anything.
Right.
Meaning, I'm not saying you're going to get married in 2021
Mm.
to so and so. I would never do that. I always use I feel, I
Mm-hmm.
think, I can see this possibly taking place. And the only reason I say that is because you have free will,
Mm-hmm.
meaning your ego tends to take you in another direction,
Yeah.
or something could happen.
Mm.
And I can't control that.
Yeah. Because you're reading at that point in time. So, of course, in the next
Yes.
6 months, things can be different.
Yes. And I never read anybody that doesn't ask. Like, I don't walk up to you and like, you don't even know me. And I'm just like, hey, so-and-so, I see your so-and-so showing up and this is happening. And you're thinking, who are you? I always clear and cleanse myself after and before all readings. That's very important, because that
Mm-hmm.
you don't want that energy
Yeah.
to
Stay with
go
you.
with you into your day, and you don't want to be starting from your ego.
Mm.
And when I get nervous, this is a mantra, I focus on the service.
Mm.
So trust, lots of trust, trust, trust. I always put my client first. It's never about me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't make things up. I clear all of my and smudge my tools, meaning my candles, my crystals, my pen, my books, whatever I happen to be using. And I never do a reading if somebody has had a couple drinks or whatever happens to be under the influence. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reading. No reading happens because
Good to
it's
know.
just, yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
makes sense. Makes sense.
and I just, I'm just here to help.
Mm.
I just want to help. People always leave a reading feeling much better, which, again, that's very important. Just feeling more clear and calm, peaceful.
Mm.
Because I do give Reiki in my readings as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's a non-invasive form of energy healing. And again, if somebody is, and I welcome people that are skeptics as well,
Mm-hmm.
but what I will not take is anybody, as long as you're open, that's fine. If
Mm.
you want to test me, go ahead. But if you're, there's people out there that just want to, what's the word? I don't know.
Yeah,
They don't
make
come from
that
love and light.
comment. Yeah, it just to test you, and
I'll
yeah,
be like,
absolutely.
here's your money and go find somebody else.
No, I mean, if you believe it or if you're not sure, that's okay. If you don't,
Yeah,
and just don't go.
exactly.
It's not for
Exactly.
everybody, and it's not
No,
that you have to believe in all those practices. It's up to you. You have the power of your decision. So if you don't want to believe
true
it,
enough.
don't believe it.
That's
Um,
right.
all right. One thing that I wanted to ask you is, you talked about being for so long in such a state of anxiety and depression, and it's not that you 2 seconds and you're out of it and you're in a good place, and now all of a sudden you're happy because you're doing all those things. How was the switch for you, and what would you be your advice for anybody that might have been in a similar state and wants to come out of it?
Um, Honestly, just be open, be curious. Um, we are so disconnected from ourselves. I, I feel that's why we don't look. We either say, "Oh no, that's crazy," or "I don't want to go there." So there's fear, and then there's ego.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you need to decide. Okay, I've tried everything. Why not try this? I think we're afraid of change. Change is always constant, um, and that's how you grow. Um, I was comfortable in my discomfort, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And surviving is not thriving.
Yeah.
If you're just existing, you know what? I welcome anyone to message me and let's have a conversation. I actually have, a lot of complimentary things in my practice that I offer to skeptics, to the folks that are living in fear, to the folks that are that need a guide.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, like I said, I had my mentor, and if you want me to help you, I'm 100% there.
Well, since you
That
talked about it, why don't you
mhm.
tell us what are your the things that you offer and where we can find you? So then whoever wants to have a reading, that really wants to have a reading, can get in touch with you. But also, as you said, if you're skeptical, but there is something that is telling you maybe you should do it, maybe just do it. You can always have a chat. And so where can we find you?
You can find me on all social media, mainly Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are my main channels. I host a weekly show that you are actually on every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, called The Power of Healing Your Energy. It's a weekly show and podcast. I also do weekly energy updates, meaning giving you the messages and the energy for the week ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That comes out every Sunday afternoon, so you can follow me on YouTube for that. And readings, I guess the most popular reading that I have is called a Reiki Rescue reading,
Wow.
because I have found in a lot of my readings, people want the Reiki, so they want some energy healing. They want me to
Mm-hmm.
scan all of their chakras, try to balance them out, give them ideas on, their blocks or their gaps in energy. And then you get some mediumship, you get psychic messages, intuitive messages, and it's just a great overall reading where you get everything. Instead of going here for one reading, going there
Mm.
for another, you get everything in one. They are an hour long, because half an hour is just not enough time.
Yeah.
It ends up being a conversation between two, great friends and all of our spirit guides and loved ones. So it's a great time.
Oh, amazing. Good. Okay, before we wrap up, what would be your advice for everybody that is watching and listening, based on your experience?
I'd say the biggest gift you can give to yourself is to open up to your intuition. I'm actually writing a book called Intuition Saved My Life. And I truly believe it'll save yours as well.
I can only agree with you. Perfect. Thank you so much, Christine.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure for me to have
Thank
you
you.
here. Thank you
and
so
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
To everybody. And if you feel that after the holidays you might need a little bit of help, maybe you want to get in touch with Christine, and if you want to get in touch with me, just go to theintuitionqueen.com, and you can email me, or just get in touch via Instagram or Facebook. It's always The Intuition Queen. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do leave comments and give us some stars and let us know how this episode has helped you, or if we made you think about something. We would like to know. And thank you again, and I'll see you next week for the new year. Bye. Thank you, Christine.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Your mind is clearer than before. Your heart is full and wanting more. Your future's at the door.